Hello, welcome to episode 5 of our weekly podcast, The Horse with No Name. This week's a special edition as we're going to interview LBC head baseball coach TJ Horn. So sit back and enjoy as we hear from Coach Horn as he discusses all things LBC, specifically his time here as a student athlete about 10, 12 years ago, and also talk about the baseball program now and your job as the admissions counselor here, as one of the admissions counselors here at Lancaster Bible. Like many of us here, you wear multiple hats. Talk to us about what a typical day looks like in the spring when it's baseball season, and now when it's the off season.
Sure. In the fall, when we're not in season, a lot of the focus is more on the admission side of things, printing lists of our prospects and current students. Right now, I work specifically with a couple different sports here, and so helping coaches to get them along through the process, get them accepted. And then when we get closer to Christmas time, we're trying to get our students enrolled. So that's primarily our focus. Right now, we have about a month of a non-traditional season. So I get to focus a little bit of baseball here before we get into the winter. But typically, it's just a lot more focused on the admission side of things.
Excellent. As an admissions counselor, what are some of the things you highlight about Lancaster Bible College when you're talking to a prospective student?
Sure. Some of the big things that I'll say that are different between a Christian school and a Bible college is that each student has 43 credits of Bible that they have to take. So they're a dual major, whether they're business, sports management, health and phys ed, they are a dual major of Bible in one of those majors. So I would say that's one of the biggest things that differentiates us from other schools. The other things are small community feel. I think when you walk on this campus, you kind of get that feeling, sense of small community. And I think a lot of our baseball players could speak on that it's a family environment. And so that's one thing that I definitely highlight. Good Christian atmosphere, and in everything that you do, you're going to get the Bible.
Great. You're also an alumnus, as we said, of Lancaster Bible College. Do you remember coming onto the campus for the first time? What year would that have been? 04?
04.
Okay.
04, yeah.
So what was that like? Or what was here? Or what wasn't here, frankly?
Yeah. Actually, the first visit I had, I met with Karen Fox.
Wow, excellent. Very good.
And the building that we were in was our old academic affairs building where we have our batting cages now. Yeah,
Very
funny.
Very good.
But the Tague Learning Center, the Charles Fry Academic Center, the new East dorms, none of that existed. Our business office was what we called Old Main, which is an old farmhouse. I believe the downstairs was all the business office, and upstairs there were their dormitories. So
excellent.
Very, very different. Peterson was brand new at that point, and it wasn't the old dorm. Brubaker was one of the best dorms, and now that's a fountain in the middle of our campus. So it looks very, very different.
Yeah, and for those, Karen Fox, our director of financial aid, is very helpful with the NCAA for us as well. So it's just funny to hear that name associated with admissions and first visit and things like that. So that's terrific. Yes, I think about that often when we have soccer, we're outside, or just even baseball, and looking around at things that you can see that either exist now that didn't, or didn't exist. I found out over the summer that there's actually still electric buried under the ground from Old Main. So that we can use the softball field now. Apparently there's a hookup in the gazebo where Old Main used to be. So I'm pretty excited to plug right in there during softball season. So, any stories, baseball stories, Pete Beer stories that we can? No?
Okay. Baseball stories. I have a ton of baseball stories, but one of the most memorable that when I look back on our time is my junior year. We won the NCCAA region, and that was a big deal for us.
Sure.
Got a chance to go down to Florida, played some really good teams down there, and actually ended up playing against D. Gordon, who's now playing in Major League.
Sure.
So that was one of my favorite memories. I have a ton of memories of the guys that I played with, and still very close friends to this day, for sure.
Excellent. So how would you say Lancaster Bible has changed since your arrival in 2005? What's the biggest change, whether it is the physical of the buildings and things, athletics, or other things you notice on campus? What's the biggest change you would say in the 10, 12 years?
Sure, that's a great question. I would say the intentionality of the student experience. When I look back at my time, I think there were some things that were lacking as far as spiritual growth and academic support and athletics in general. And I know Pete always had a vision for it, but it just wasn't always there for us. And and we did the best we could with what we have, but I think we're truly blessed in a lot of different ways that way now.
Excellent. As someone who's been around these 10, 12, 13 years, What about this place continues to make you excited and strive for better?
Sure. When I was a student, Lancaster Bible College was the culture and what people perceived Lancaster Bible College to be was not one of good athletics. Academics might have not been the strongest, and I watched us grow significantly. I watched our basketball team do what they did a couple years ago. I watched our baseball team go from 13 kids to 30. I watched all these sports excel. I think athletics is probably my biggest, because that is my passion, but that's my biggest excitement about it all. But I just watched the whole campus bloom, and I hear other people say, hey, what are you guys doing over there?
It's great. You mentioned baseball, turning to baseball. When you're recruiting young men for the baseball program, what can they expect when they get here? What can they expect when they're a part of the program? And what can they expect to leave here with? I know it's kind of a loaded question, but talk about that overall experience from, hi, I'm Coach Horn, to you're a member, to thanks so much for being here, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Like one of the things that I've done differently since this, I think this is season 7 now. I used to recruit on the basis of your baseball experiences is number one, and we want you to be the best baseball player you can be.
Sure.
I still want each guy to be the best player they're capable of being, but what I tell mom and dad and the kid when they come here is that I want them to be the best son, husband, father someday. And I hope that the disciplines that we give them in the baseball program carry out into the real world when they're done. So I think that's one thing that I've changed to my coaching philosophy over the years, for sure.
Sure. Excellent. Excellent. You guys recently began fall practice. What are some of the things you and the coaching staff are looking for here in the fall to prepare you for the spring?
Sure. Some of the bigger things for us is just seeing these new guys, just getting them on the field and seeing what they look like. When we recruit, a lot of it's film, a lot of it's emails, a lot of it's data. It's not really in person, so it gives us an opportunity to see some of these freshmen and see what they're capable of. Okay. Gives us also an opportunity to see how hard the returners have worked, what they did over the summer. Are they healthy? Are they ready to go? And so, and also it allows us to gel the two together and try to create a family culture quickly.
Excellent. Last season, the baseball team posted its second straight winning season for just the second time in program history. The other time was 80-81, the first 2 years of the program. 19-12-1. It's a great record. But there was still a bitter taste in the collective mouths of the team. Did not make the NEAC playoffs. Disappointing, to say the least. Sure. I think we can say that now.
Not too soon.
That's good. Okay, good. Perfect. I'll write that. Good. What have you guys talked about as a team, whether amongst the whole team or person to person, in regards to not letting that happen again?
Sure. I've actually had a lot of discussions with players and coaches about this. One of them sitting in this room, but I won't point him out. But one of my players said to me, he said, Coach, I think we focused so hard on playoffs and we focused so hard on the championship that we didn't focus on the process a little bit. And so I heard a player say to me that, we expected to win and we thought we were owed that versus knowing that we're the underdog, even if we're the more talented team every single time. And so that's one thing I think we're getting away from the lingo of conference championship, and just focusing on what are we doing today to get better. Excellent.
Very good. We recently released the 2018 schedule. Talk about some of the challenges that you've set up for the team this season.
Sure. We cut some of our weaker teams that we played in the past, and we've added quite a few teams that have been in the top 25 in the country, play some of the heavier schedules in the country. Added 3 teams specifically that have been in that realm, and I think that'll help us to get to that point quicker.
And Myrtle Beach again, correct? For spring break?
Beach, yep. We're going to play 8 games down there.
Very good. And the Barnstormers again in April for exhibition.
April.
Very good. As a coach and a mentor, and we'll wrap up with this, and not just for this season, what do you consider success both on and off the field for you, your coaching staff, and then your student athletes?
Sure. I think our players have heard this enough that they would probably answer this question, but we definitely say that wins and losses aren't always in our control. But the one thing I will say is that if we can say that we gave everything we had that day, if there was nothing left in you on that day, then I think that's a success. Because sometimes players are just physically better than you are, or the luck of the draw, or officials, the things you can't control happen. But if we give everything that we have in our control, to me, that's success on the field. Off the field, our team are shooting for a 3.0 GPA as a team. Spiritually, they're to be in church every Sunday. They're in chapel every day, and they are doing small groups as a team.
Great.
We meet individually one-on-one, but I'd say the biggest thing that I would say is a success for me is when I get that wedding invite 4 or 5 years on the road. That to me is that off-field success.
Great. You can see the Chargers in action this fall if you'd like to. They'll be hosting an alumni game on Saturday, September 30th in the morning. That'll be homecoming morning. They'll play out there on Charger Field, get a couple innings in against some of the alumni. And then, of course, in the spring, get the Chargers out of Charger Field, and we'll have that for you as well on the Chargers Sports Network. I want to thank Coach TJ Horn for joining us today. And this has been episode 5 of the Horse with No Name podcast. Have a great week. Go Chargers, go.